I'm very happy to be with you all this morning, even though I couldn't make it there in person. Hopefully, maybe next time I will. I know that you have been delving into the Toltec teachings of Don Miguel Ruiz in his book about the Four Agreements. And today we will be exploring the fourth of these agreements: always do your best. The Four Agreements are a summary of the mastery of transformation according to Toltec wisdom. These arise from the same essential unity of truth as all the sacred traditions found around the world. Though it is not a religion, it honors all the spiritual masters who have taught on the earth and amplify the teachings of unity as well. It's a path, a laid out trail to follow. Maybe you followed a path through nature, or taken a walk through a garden, or maybe even walked a labyrinth. The path has been traversed many, many times before, and it's laid out so one just needs to follow it. It serves as the guide of sorts for getting the most of the experience. When I think of a path, I remember the story of the Wizard of Oz, one of my favorite metaphysical stories. Dorothy, the character in the story, finds herself in a brand new environment, and she's guided with the words to follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Likewise, the Toltec tradition is a path, albeit a very ancient one. And Don Miguel Ruiz puts its teachings in very simple terms so anyone can understand and follow it. The path is simple, but not necessarily easy. Since I was last with you in Brownsville, I completed a path. It was laid out. This was the path of the licensed Unity teacher. As all paths, it was laid out. It had its vantage points. It had its challenges. And I knew that I would grow as I stepped into each class and each experience. So this Toltec teaching can also serve you as a path, which is why I like it, for its simplicity and its depth. The teaching begins with an awakening of sorts, and we are asked to become aware and notice that we have not been making choices from our own sense of knowing. We have, in fact, made agreements that may no longer be serving our highest good. By challenging the strict rules or agreements that society has imposed upon us, we can begin to break free from our own domestication, as Don Ruiz says. Another word for that is programming, and live more authentic, fulfilling lives as our fullest expression. We may not have chosen these rules as children, but as adults, we have the power to challenge and change them. By doing so, we can break free from the constraints of ineffective societal norms and live in a way that is more authentically true to our higher selves, to our divine natures. This means rejecting the rules that no longer serve us and embracing new agreements that align with our values and goals. We do this in consciousness and choice. So let's talk a little about agreements in general. What is an agreement? We collectively decide something and we all follow that decision. It's like we shake hands with something and say, yes, that's how it will be done. So it's an agreement. As children, we learn how to interact with others based on these norms and lose our ability to act from our own sense of authority. This is what Ruiz calls domestication, and I would call programming. This teaching is about remembering the truth that we are the creators of our reality, and it's our true ability. We do not have to continue to create ourselves, our world, or experiences from an old hand-me-down blueprint or ineffective pattern of belief. One just has to look at the world and realize we can do much, much better than we have done so far. Don Miguel Ruiz offers us a new set of agreements. They're not new to him or his Toltec tradition, but they may be new for us. So just as a little review, the first and most important of the 4 agreements is to be impeccable with your word. The word is your power of creation, and that power can be used in more than one direction. As we just reviewed, unity principle number 1 is that there is only one power and one presence in the universe. We call it God, and it is good. And principle number 2 states, we are of that one source. We are free to choose this alignment. In the Bible, John 1:1 says, in the beginning was the Word, and everything that was created from this word spoken into being. So God is Word, and we are an aspect of that. This is what gives us the authority to create through our word, and it's a very powerful gift. When we state, I am the word, you are agreeing that you are an aspect of the Creator in expression as you. Metaphysically, the meaning of I am is spiritual identity, the real Christ mind of each individual. The I am being, the is, the I am, and man. So God's offspring is also I am. So that is your true name. That is our true name, I am. We begin to become aware that what we are experiencing has been created by us and through us with our own words. Words have energy and power with the ability to help, to heal, to hinder, to hurt, to harm, to humiliate, and to humble. Very, very powerful. Our word is very powerful. So the first agreement is to be aware and choose our words impeccably. This means being mindful of the words we use. And if you ever want to know where you are in your consciousness, your words will tell you. The second agreement is don't take things personally. This means recognize that other people's actions and words are not a reflection of us, but rather a reflection of their own beliefs and experiences. They are responsible to what they create, and we are responsible to how we respond. You begin to see how important it is to awaken to this matrix we have created collectively in our unconsciousness, and we have agreed to, that no longer serves us. The Toltec teaching reminds us of this, so we can choose from our own knowing. The third agreement is not to make assumptions. This means questioning our beliefs and assumptions rather than taking them as absolute truth. Those of you familiar maybe with Byron Katie's The Work have experienced with this agreement. She questions every thought that we have with the first question, is it true? Can we absolutely know it's true? How did you react? What happens when you believe that thought? And who would you be without that thought? So that is the practice of not taking everything personally and not making assumptions. So we begin to question it. By being open-minded and willing to consider different perspectives, even different perspectives that we can take, we can shift. We can use our powers of understanding and wisdom for this. Have you heard the phrase, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me? It's a misuse of our power of imagination. And Ruiz identifies it as the judge, which takes over our minds and our free will. For some of us, it's an automatic pilot. We judge everything all the time. Being expansive in our awareness allows for more to be included in what we consider. Yes, it's a stretch, but it's our edge for growth. Our ego, ego, wants to edge God out. It wants to say, this is good and that is not. But our first principle says that God is all. Maybe there's more to this for us to learn through this agreement. There's just a little review, which brings us to the fourth new agreement. Always do your best. This means putting our best effort into living our three agreements. Everything we do without judging or expecting perfection from ourselves or others. That's what the fourth agreement is about. It's where we do our best to live the first three agreements. The first three agreements will only work if we do our best. By focusing on the present moment and giving our best effort, we can avoid feelings of guilt, shame, or inadequacy, and instead cultivate a sense of fulfillment, satisfaction. By knowing that others can only do what they know is their best, gives us the space for grace. Who knows what our best is? Only we do. No one else can judge what our best is, and we also cannot assume to know what someone else's best is. In the South, phrase, maybe you've heard this, we say, bless his heart. Have you heard this? It's a great example of how we can twist things through our intention, right? What if we were impeccable with this blessing and truly were able to bless the heart of another who is doing the best they know how to do? What if others loved us in this way? The Christ in us can. And that is who we truly are. We can recognize that our best effort may vary depending on the circumstances, that it is important to be kind to ourselves and not hold ourselves to some kind of impossible standard. We are human. We are divine. We are living a human life and experience. And with it are all the challenges of this life. This means setting realistic goals and expectations and being proud of our accomplishments, no matter how small they may seem. Isn't it wonderful when you can at least say, well, at least I saw it, at least I was aware, and that is something to celebrate. When we're doing our best, it's a forward momentum, not a complacent attitude. We reserve our energy to try it again, to hit the mark, because it's our greatest expression. When we're complacent, we sit back and say, oh, well, and we kind of give ourselves a little pass. Maybe it is the best we could do. And if it is, then we need to acknowledge that. And if it isn't, then we ask ourselves, how could I have done this better? And that is where our leading edge is. We can see this for others as well. Everyone is on their path. Everyone is on their path. I think that's probably the most important thing to remember. Everyone is doing the best they know how to do. We don't need to assume anything else. We know that others are doing the best they can do. We are more compassionate and forgiving too. That is something we can do when we're doing our best. Louise reminds us, if you try too hard to do more than your best, you'll spend more energy than is needed. And in the end, your best will not be enough. You are not here to sacrifice your joy or your life. You are here to live, to be happy, and to love. Did you know that? Gathering in community, like Unity Church of Brownsville, is where we get to be reminded and filled up so we remember to love and to be happy. Love what you're doing, not the reward for doing it. Joseph Campbell coined the phrase, follow your bliss. What is it about the things that you are doing that you truly love? This is the question to ask yourself. How many of us do things out of what is called obligation? We were taught that this is what we are supposed to do. Have you thought about that? How many of the things that you do you do from a place of joy or a place of love or gratitude? Think about it. What are some things you do out of obligation? Is that doing your best? When we act from the vibration of love and joy, that is when we are doing our best. Sometimes we just need to become aware of where our motivation is coming from so we can choose to align to a higher expression. What about fear? Think about how many things you do motivated by some kind of fear. We even fear others' assumptions about us. Have you noticed that this is also what may be motivating others? When we take action based on obligation or fear, we are not doing our best. We are not expressing from our higher self. We could say we're not expressing the fruits of the Spirit. Why? We need to examine that for ourselves, because that's what we are here to do more of, but not out of obligation, only out of love. If we aren't feeling it, that is where we can start. Doing a loving kindness meditation practice has proven to establish this according to neuroscience. You start with sending love and appreciation to yourself, then to those in your circle, then to those that you are neutral about, then to those who are more of a challenge for you emotionally. This practice is a way to hone your ability to do your best. When we take time to truly discern our motivation, we begin to align to our free will, to take conscious action from a more authentic place. For some of us, we need to take time to discern where it's coming from. Then we can consciously choose to uphold the agreement with ourselves, to express our Christ natures fully, to the best of our ability in the moment and to love ourselves for doing our best. We can have many great ideas in our heads, but what makes a difference is when we move to action. So which of the 5 principles does this refer to? Principle number 5. We must act on our knowing of the other 4 principles. Otherwise, it has no power. I remember having this aha. I started by questioning my motivation for some of the choices I was making. I'd ask myself, why am I doing that? I took it into meditation. I journaled about it. I uncovered a lot of layers of programming, assumptions, judgments, domestication that I hadn't even been aware of. Somewhere under there was my true heart. As I began to peel back the unconscious agreements, I began to get more in touch with what I really desired and felt energy for. I'm able to make agreements with myself and do my best to keep them. It didn't feel safe at first. And that's when I knew I really needed to align to my true self and not to this fake my way through something. I'm supposed to be like this, or I should feel like this. This was where I could choose and be true to my heart, acting from this place in joy. Have you asked yourself, what are you passionate about? Passion is the energy that motivates action. Anything less is depleting of your energy. Can you feel that? Does it ring true for you? Ruiz also encourages us to take time to create rituals. He speaks about making everything in his life a ritual. And this way, we are always doing sacred work. We are alive, so we can enjoy it. We don't need to know or prove anything. The truth is the truth is the truth. We can choose to be in our joy, to take a risk and enjoy our life. This is all that matters. We allow that motivation to direct and inform and energize all our choices. And this statement bothers you a little, take that into your meditation. Let Spirit reveal to you the places where you are denying yourself joy and freedom. Practice the power of your word. Say no when you want to say no, and yes when you want to say yes, and have the right to be you and to choose from this place of joy versus obligation. Try it out. See what you learn. The first 3 agreements will only work if you do your best. Don't expect that you will always be able to be impeccable with your word. Your routine habits may be too strong and firmly rooted in your mind, but you can become aware and you can do your best. Don't expect that you will never take anything personal. Just do your best. Don't expect that you will never make another assumption, but you can certainly do your best. Practice makes the master. By doing your best again and again, you become a master of your own life. You become a master, as the Toltecs teach, of your own dream. If you do your best always, over and over again, you will become a master of transformation. The knowledge is there. It's just waiting for you to use it. And if you break an agreement, begin again tomorrow and again the next day. It may be difficult at first, but each day you become easier and easier, wiser and wiser, until someday you'll discover that you are steering your life on this path of the 4 agreements. And you'll be surprised at the way your life has transformed on this path. We need to go step by step and be patient with ourselves, because this is a slow process. We cannot expect to break the domestication or programming in one day by reading one book. Breaking agreements is very difficult because we put the power of the word and we repeat it over and over again, which is the power of our will, into every agreement we have made. Ruiz says we need the same amount of power to change an agreement. We cannot change an agreement with less power than we used to make an agreement. And almost all our personal power is invested in keeping the agreement we have with ourselves. That's because our agreements are actually like a strong addiction. We'll even defend them as unchangeable, but we really are choosing them. Have you noticed this in yourself? We are addicted to being the way we are. We are addicted to anger, jealousy, reactions, self-pity as reactions. We are addicted to unlearning beliefs that do not serve our highest good expression. Things like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not intelligent enough, or I'm too old for that. Why even try? Other people do it better. They're better than me, etc., etc. These are beliefs we've agreed to, and we can use our unity practices of denials and affirmations to plant new seeds in our minds and begin growing new beliefs and new agreements. Dr. Joe Dispenza writes that we must break the habit of being ourselves. He's talking about these same programmed patterns. We've wired these into our neural networks, and it's the cause of our suffering. But we can begin to break free by practicing the 3 agreements and doing our best. I want to close this with a quote from Manish Horatia to remind us that it's not all up to us, but we have our part to play. So the quote is, "Do your best and leave the rest to God." So I hope you will take that into your meditation, into your contemplation, into your prayer practices, and journal about what Spirit reveals to you. Thank you.